I'm hoping you've all got your glasses of wine poured. I'll hand you over to Chef Raki and winemaker Casper. Enjoy your night.
Hi everybody, my name's Raki. I'm the executive chef here at Rochford. Thanks everyone for joining us. Really means a lot to us for your support in these tough times. But all that aside, we've got a great night ahead. We're going to cook some really delicious food. Casper's going to run you through some of our really great wines, and it's just going to be a bit of a fun night, a little bit of education along the way, and a nice meal at the end of it. So yeah, let's have a good night.
Good evening, Internet. My name's Casper. I'm a winemaker here at Rochford, and yeah, joining Raki tonight for what should be an excellent meal at your place and here. We're going to run through a couple of wines that we've paired with tonight's dish. We feel that these Pinots really complement Raki's delicious flavours and ingredients that he's got happening there with the special pasta dinner tonight. So first things first, let's knock the top off a bottle of wine. So the first wine we should probably try, I mean, you'll notice that there's two wines here, but just, you know, it doesn't matter which one you try really, but we'll start with the 2019 Rochford Estate Pinot. Oh, a little bit, one for the land.
That's okay.
So yeah, this is grown on a few of our different vineyards. So some fruit from the Upper Yarra, some from here at the winery, and you know, pretty simple winemaking, but hopefully a delicious accompaniment to tonight's dinner. So Raki's just going to run us through what you've got in your box there. But you know, we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Just type them into the screen as Maddie mentioned, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go.
All right, so hopefully everyone's got their box in front of them. Aside from that, everybody should have a pot of boiling water or close to boiling on the stove ready to go. As long as that's up to temperature and boiling, you can sit that off on the side so it's easily going to come to the boil a little bit later on. We should have a saucepan for the ragu, and you should have the box in front of you. So what I want everyone to do now is to grab your loaf of bread out, and we're just going to pop that into the oven, about 160, and set your timer for 14 minutes. That way, by the time we get everything on the go, the bread should come out, it'll be nice and crusty and ready to eat with our main course. So in the box, if you can itemize everything now, it'll be really good. We're going to get the rocket, the balsamic dressing, the parmesan, and our roasted pears. Put them in one little stack so they're ready to go. Then for our charcuterie board, we should have some mild suppressor, some prosciutto, some hot suppressor, and then we've got some cornichons and caperberries. We're going to get stuck into that in just a tick. We've also got some lavash, which is going to go with that. So if we can get those together. Then lastly, for the pasta, we'll just have our fresh pasta dough. We've got our duck ragu. Then you should have a few little containers. There's some salt, there's some pepper. We've got some semolina for rolling out the pasta. And we've got a little bit of grated parmesan. That's just going to be to finish off the sauce later. Also in everyone's packs, we've included some dry pasta, just in case we have any mishaps along the way. You guys can enjoy the meal without any worries, but that's a fail-safe. Everyone's going to do really well with the pasta, so don't worry. Casper's going to teach us how to roll it out, and there shouldn't be any problems. So first of all, we're going to get our charcuterie board set up. Now this is nothing too fancy here. We're just going to get some charcuterie on the go, talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about the wine, and just kind of a little bit of a grazing platter as we're setting up and on the go. So Casper will get that on the go.
Excellent. So we've got three different, or two salamis and a prosciutto there.
Yep, so we've got a mild suppressor, a hot suppressor, and a prosciutto. The suppressors are basically the same in process. A combination of lean meat and about 30% fat ratio. That's just got a little bit more picante in it, a little bit of chili, and some paprika. and a little bit more spice, a little bit more black pepper, and the mild one's just purely a little bit of black pepper in there for seasoning.
Yeah, delicious.
The prosciutto is just an 18-month age prosciutto. Nothing too special about that. Australian made, local producers, just from out near Williamstown. Again, any of these products as well, if you've been looking online, are all available in our grocer as well. So if you like them, jump online and pick yourself up a little bit more, and you can recreate what we've done here tonight another time.
Yeah, excellent.
And yeah, Lavash, house-made.
House-made.
House-made, everything's house-made. Everything's been made lovingly by our chefs.
Excellent.
Just for your pleasure.
I can attest, these crackers are really something, this lavash.
They're nice.
So what, but it's not just any lavash, is it, Raki? It's got some
it does.
special.
It's got a few little special things. There's some fennel seeds, some lemon myrtle, and some poppy seeds in there, just to sort of lift it up a little bit and sort of help to match it with some of those small goods.
Excellent. And let's not forget our greenery.
Definitely not.
It's not, this can just happen as it happens.
As it happens, exactly right. Like I said, this is not, if you're doing a dinner party with a few guests, take a little bit more time. You can get it all spread out nicely. What I would recommend is if you're serving for guests, a little bit of drizzle of some olive oil over the top. It sort of helps marry it all together a little bit better.
Yeah, beautiful. So, all right, so just while we're getting into it, I'll just speak briefly about that first Pinot. So as you can see, we've got two Pinots included in the pack. So the first one that we've poured there is the 2019 Rochford Estate Pinot. And then the second one is 2018 Single Vineyard Don LeBois Pinot. So usually the Rochford Estate Pinot is about $38 a bottle and the Don LeBois is $54. So basically they're two Pinots. They're from two different years, but they're quite different. So the first wine, this Rochford Estate Pinot, is it's a blend of several of our estate vineyards. So a bit from the Upper Yarra, a bit from the Central Yarra, mostly whole berry fermentation. We want something that's got a bit of structure, a bit of freshness, and something that goes perfectly with a bit of prosciutto and small goods. So the matching of Pinot with duck, you might ask why. Basically, Pinot is a spicy, reasonably light-bodied red wine. You can use Pinot at lunchtime, dinner time, whatever. It seems to go with most meals, but it goes particularly well with the duck because the duck's quite a rich game meat, and the freshness of the Pinot with that bit of acid, fine tannin, that sort of thing seems to go really well with duck, and that's why we like to put them together. So,
It's nice. Not good ones.
what else can I say? Are there any questions about this first wine at all? I mean, it's hopefully you're enjoying it. 2019 as a growing season was quite a warm year, but we had with some good rains leading up to Christmas time, so that the canopies were good and healthy, and some really great acid in the wine as well, which I find is a really important feature, especially in the style of Pinots that we're making here in the Yarra. All right, well, we might move on to the next stage of the cooking exercise.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, if everybody want to grab their duck ragu, what we're going to do is just open that. I've got those scissors. Thank you. And we're just going to get that in our saucepan and set it aside, so everything's nice and ready and accessible for when we're ready to go. So just open that up.
Lots of people commenting that they're enjoying the wine.
Great. And like Casper said before, if anybody's got any questions, feel free, shout them out. It's sort of a good time now for a little bit of Q&A about the wine. If you've got
We do have a question. How do you compare 2019 to 2018?
That is an excellent question. I'm very glad that you've asked that one. They're actually reasonably similar vintages. 2018 though, probably a slightly warmer year where the fruit ripened a bit earlier. So the 2018 wine, is from the Upper Yarra, so it's a cool site in a warm year. So yeah, hopefully some good flavours coming through in that one. I'll chat a bit more about that wine, the 2018 wine, shortly. But yeah.
And we also had a question about what's in the ragu.
Oh, so really simple ragu. We've got some confit duck legs. So they've just been sweated down and then cooked overnight in some duck fat. There's a little bit we put a little bit of thyme in with that and a little bit of garlic. So really super simple. Then it's just sweated down with some onions, some garlic, some fresh thyme. Then we hit that with some red wine, reduce that right the way down. And then, we don't do a traditional confit with the duck. We do a sous vide confit, which means we put the duck fat into essentially like a Ziploc bag, and then we cook it at a really even temperature. So it stays at 77 degrees for about 14 hours. And then we take the duck out, we shred that up, mix it through the sauce, and then whatever's left in the bag, all the nice juices, that gets emptied into the sauce. Just some fresh San Marzano tomatoes, and then we just sweat that all the way down and reduce it down for about 4 or 5 hours. So really clean, simple flavors, but just really like a really nice and slow process so we can sort of get the most flavor out of those simple flavors. So now what we're going to do is we'll make a move onto our pasta. If everybody wants to grab their pasta sheets and their semolina.
Oh, we had a question about the salad. Is the pear marinated in anything?
No, the pear is not marinated in anything. So if we can go ahead and open the pasta and get our semolina. And we want to give our bench a really good sprinkle with the semolina. Be quite heavy-handed on this because we really want to make sure we're getting enough semolina in between the pasta as we're rolling and as we're cutting. It's going to help prevent any of the pasta sticking together, and it's also going to help when the pasta's cooking, all of the semolina that gets nicely coated over the pasta is going to help bind your sauce to the pasta itself. So yeah, be really liberal and generous. What we're going to do is going to grab our sheets. The best way is just to sort of like peel it off a little bit at the bottom and then flip it over.
If there's one thing I've learned about Raki recently, it's that he loves semolina. Absolutely loves it.
Look, I just don't think you can ever have enough semolina in your life.
So just for the folks at home, Raki, what exactly is semolina?
So semolina is a derivative from durum wheat. Most people will inadvertently know what durum wheat is. It's the type of wheat which makes all your flours. So any of your plain flours, self-raising flours, wholemeal flours, all gets made from durum wheat. And all of the little bits that are left over, which are too coarse to be milled into flour, actually go in to make semolina.
Okay.
So you get like a really nice coarse texture. Really great for applications like this, but also really great. They use it in couscous and other sort of like more textured types of pastas as well.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, this is sort of a bit of a two-man operation now. So if we can get one person to start unpeeling all of the pasta sheets. If you don't have a second pair of hands to help you, if the other person's too busy drinking all their wine, we'll just go really slowly anyway. So get one sheet out at a time. Now, it doesn't really, I mean, it may seem like a lot of semolina, but it's not, because the pasta sheet itself is only going to take on so much.
Okay.
It's not going to keep absorbing the semolina.
So you cut not too much semolina is not even a thing.
No, it's not a thing. It's definitely not a thing. So it's going to, like I said, it's going to help stop the pasta from sticking. But whatever's left over is going to shake free when we cook the pasta a little bit later on.
Okay.
And that's going to help thicken our sauce a little bit as well, just at the very end.
Awesome.
So what we're going to do is we're going to lie the sheet out, and you just want to grab your rolling pin, and we just want to slightly elongate the sheet, just to sort of get it a bit more stretched out. It's probably been sitting around for a little bit now, and it's a little bit relaxed. So we're just going to get a little bit more length on it.
So this pasta, it's got plenty of lovely colour. What's it? What have you got in there?
So it's a really simple eggs, flour, olive oil and salt.
Okay, great.
The thing that's going to make a really great pasta, different from just a run-of-the-mill pasta, is just your ingredient quality. So you want really good 00 flour, you want really good organic eggs, and really good extra virgin olive oil.
Perfect.
It's going to give you a colour, but it's also going to give a lot of extra flavour too.
Is that about enough?
That's perfect.
Yep.
So we just want to sort of get about an extra third or so on the length of that pasta. Again, a little bit more semolina. Then we're just going to, what we'll do is we'll fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And if you want to grab the knife, we're just going to cut these into pappardelle size pieces, which is probably around about 2 centimetres.
We had a
thick.
question about whether or not you can use a wine bottle instead of a rolling pin.
Absolutely, you can use a wine bottle.
Very resourceful. That's a good idea. Also, don't use a knife straight on your bench top like we are. This is a non-scratch
Correct.
surface, but if we don't know what's happening at your place, so maybe just put it on a chopping board if you have to. So pappardelle. So what's talk us through that? This is just like about 2 centimeters.
Yeah.
So it's like double fettuccine, is it?
Roughly double fettuccine.
Okay.
Exactly right. All same derivative dough, just different names for different sizes.
Okay, cool. Oh, that one's got flares.
If anybody's having any trouble unsticking the pasta, it'll probably be because you've left it in the fridge and it hasn't been out quite long enough. So solution to that is just to put your sheets flat down on the bench and then just rub the back of the parchment paper with your hand just to get a bit of warmth into the dough, and then that should you should see it nicely free up.
Wow, pasta. Do love pasta.
If anybody's having any troubles at the moment, shoot any questions out and we'll work through it together.
Cheapers. We could have
Bread's done.
picked a better meal for a night like tonight. This is like real wintry, hearty food on a, it's springtime, but jeepers, it's freezing out there, isn't it?
Winter's trying to make its last little comeback, I think.
We did have a question. Someone's asking if the bread should be done now.
Well, yep, when the bread went in, hopefully everybody set their timer for 14 minutes. But if not, you should be pretty close to being done now. So if you haven't had a timer set, I'd pull the bread out now and just sit that aside and let it just come down a little bit more to room temperature so it's ready to go when we finish off our pasta. Alright. How you going over there, Cass?
I'm going all right.
So as you're cutting the strips as well, make sure you just a little bit more semolina, give it a little zhuzh around, get the semolina working through. And we want to make sure we've got a little bit of air, a little bit of space in between the sheets because we want it to sort of we don't want it to dry out, but we do want it to sort of lose a little bit of that moisture that it has from sitting in the bag for the last day or so.
Speaking of drying out, your tide's out over there, mate.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, we're on to our last sheet here, so hopefully everybody's on track and we can make a move. So essentially, this pasta, like with the dry pasta that we included in the box as well, essentially, this dry pasta was like this pasta at some stage of its life.
It was once a fresh pasta.
It was
and now
once
it's
a
dry.
fresh pasta, and then it got dried out. The only difference is when we're cooking it is this dry pasta, anywhere sort of from around 8 to 10 minutes it's going to take to cook.
Yeah.
The fresh pasta, we're probably looking at around 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes at the very most.
Okay.
And the reason, that's purely because with the dry pasta, we're just trying to get a little bit more hydration back into it. Takes a lot longer. This one's already at the right state it needs to be. And we're just going to really, we've rolled it out really nice and thin. So it's just a really quick blanch in the boiling water, and we're good to go.
Okay, awesome.
We've just had someone saying they're woofing the charcuterie and they'll cook later.
That's a great idea.
That's perfectly
great
fine.
idea.
As long as you're watching as you go, so you've got a little bit of an idea. But yeah, why don't we'll jump into the next wine before
Yeah, awesome, man.
Just pass the dry out a little bit, and then we'll. Quickly before we jump into the next wine, now's probably a good time to get that water back on sort of a medium heat. So we want to get a little bit of simmering going, so just some small bubbles coming to the top, just so we're ready to go as soon as we move along.
Cool. So we'll just have a quick chat about the next wine there, guys. If possible, I'd recommend trying to have both of these Pinots side by side, or you can just focus on one at a time, whatever. We certainly condone responsible consumption of alcohol, but you're at home and it's Friday night, so if you just need to let your hair down, that's fine. You do what you need to do. So this second wine is, it's from 2018, so as we mentioned earlier, slightly warmer vintage for the Yarra Valley. And this is what we call a single vineyard wine, and as that term suggests, its fruit for this wine is solely from one small vineyard. And this particular vineyard is in the Upper Yarra, which is a much higher altitude than we are here, by about an extra 100 metres or so above sea level. And it's generally a much cooler section of the Yarra Valley. So up there in Gembrook, where this is, the soils are quite deep, very fertile, rich country, but that cool climate is perfect for growing Pinot, and particularly fragrant Pinot. So I'm not going to describe all of the things that I'm smelling in this wine, and when people talk about what they see and what they smell, that's just the individual coming up with memories that they once smelt and now they're smelling it again. Basically, we like to take wine seriously sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's just a drink, and hopefully it's a good thing to drink, and most importantly, it's something that goes with the food. So this particular wine, I love it because it's quite complex. It's a bit smoky, and that seems to, really bring out the good flavours in the food. You'll notice it's quite light, but by the same token, from that warm season, we're getting some kind of slightly darker flavours. And from up in Gembrook, it's always going to be quite savoury and a bit spicy. And so, with your charcuterie board and with the duck ragu, it's sort of, there's complementing flavours, hopefully. And that's the reason why we've put these wines together. So, cheers.
Okay, so before we jump into the main, we'll just go over a few little things. Water simmering, ragu's in the pan, ready to go. Everybody's bread's out of the oven. Hopefully nobody lost a finger in the process of the pasta. If anybody had any troubles with the pasta, probably now's a good time to get the dry pasta in. That's going to take about 8 minutes. When that's done, into the colander, so we're ready to go and you can kind of catch up. What we're going to do is we'll grab our grated Parmesan out. We've got our salt and pepper for seasoning. We should have a colander close by in the sink or wherever is convenient. So when our pasta comes out, like I said, it's a super quick process. So once we get rolling with that, we're just going to make sure everything's really close by. so we can get into it. What we'll do now is we'll jump onto the salad. So once our pasta's done, we're all ready to go. We can get out of your hair and you can enjoy your dinner. Pear, parmesan, dressing, rocket, everything is weighed out exactly for you guys.
I just had a quick question come through, just wanting to double check that the fresh pasta serves 2.
Absolutely too, yeah.
It looks small, but
So basically any pasta that you have doubles in size when you cook it. So it'll double the weight. So traditionally for any restaurant served pasta that we do here is typically a 200 gram portion, or 180 gram portion. We've given you a little bit extra, so it's a 200 gram portion, so should be roughly about 400 grams of pasta for 2 people when it's all cooked and ready to go.
Awesome.
But yeah, salad, everything into the bowl, give it a really good mix. Salt and pepper is purely up to you guys and your preference and liking, so go nuts with that or not, up to you.
so this pear and rocket salad, I mean, we've all heard of that combo. Is that a traditional Italian ensalada?
It's a pretty common salad. The reason everybody's heard of it is because it's such a great combination.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got some really peppery rocket, you've got sweet pear, you've got salty parmesan, and you've got the real nice sourness from the balsamic dressing. So it sort of really hits all those flavor profiles. It's got a bit of everything, and it just, it eats really well because it hits all of the markers, and it's got a great combination of all of those elements that really make it a great salad.
Awesome, and some great colour.
Great colour, perfect colour.
Do love some colour. So we're just mixing this together, are we?
Just give it a really good mix. Like I said, salt and pepper is purely up to you guys at home. As much or as little as you like.
That pepper, I can really smell it. It smells delicious.
Freshly cracked pepper, we get them in whole corns, and then we just ground them in the spice grinder. So a little tip for at home is that you want to try and keep all of your spices in whole form as much as possible, and then just grind a little bit as you need. They'll just hold a little bit better.
So do they kind of lose their potency?
They do. Like most dry spices will lose a lot of potency over time.
Okay.
Especially if they're sitting in cupboards and pantries for a long period of time.
Yeah.
They just diminish. So, it's best with dried spices, just get a really small amount for what you need, keep for what you need. And then, the whole form is always best.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so salad's done.
Do we have a bowl for that?
Yes, we do have a bowl for the salad.
Thank you.
Just another little restaurant tip here is that when you're mixing or when you're plating your salads, if you've got guests over, is you really want to stack the salad. And what I mean by that is you layer it a little bit at a time just to give it a bit of body and give it a bit of height. That's if you're serving guests and you want to make it really presentable.
Absolutely.
It's little small things that sort of make a difference. And when you're mixing it too, just really lightly, you want to make sure you're not bruising the rocket and breaking everything up and sort of just turning it to mush as you're mixing.
And how does that look?
It's perfect. It's perfect. So we've got our bread, we've got our charcuterie ready to go, we've got the salad, we're ready to go on the pasta.
Excellent.
Everybody's, I want the water up to high heat now. We want to make sure that we've got a really full rolling boil on that water. And then what everyone can do is grab your duck ragu, pop that onto another burner and just put that onto a medium heat. And we just want to sort of see a little bit of simmering going on with the ragu. Once you've got some nice simmering going on, we'll reduce that to a low heat in anticipation for our pasta to be added. So hopefully everybody's got their water boiling. If not, we'll just kind of wait a little minute.
We did have a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
Does the grated parmesan go into the salad?
Nope, the grated parmesan will go into the sauce.
And then the ricotta salata
The ricotta salata is for garnishing at
to
the
garnish
very
at
end.
the end. Cool.
Okay, so
But there
Oh,
was
do we salt the pasta water?
yes, great question.
salt in the water.
Two things with pasta water whilst we're cooking. One myth surrounding anytime you're cooking pasta is that you should put oil in the water when you're cooking pasta. You definitely don't need any oil in the water when you're cooking pasta. The only thing that you need is a ratio of 10 times the amount of water to pasta. So if you've got a kilo of pasta, you need 10 litres of water.
Yeah.
If you've got, in our case, 400 grams of pasta, we just need about 4 litres, roughly 4 litres of water boiling away. That's at the absolute maximum of the scale. It can be a little bit less than that, but we just want to make sure we've got a good body of water that's going to mix the pasta around and give it a lot of movement in there, so it's not sticking together as we're going. But having the water on a really good boil as well is going to aid in that sort of movement while the pasta's in there.
Someone was just commenting that the bread is fantastic.
Thank you. So, salt. Traditionally, there's a saying that your water should taste like the sea. So you want lots of salt in the water. Now, a lot of people are a bit funny about that, but you're not actually going to have all of that salt. So the pasta has got minimal salt in there, so we really need a lot of salt in there because the pasta is only going to take on so much. It's only going to take on a really small fraction of that salt. So really, really good salted water is going to make a massive difference to how the flavour tastes and how it eats, and a little bit it'll blend into the texture of the pasta as well when we cook it. When we're straining off the pasta too, we want to make sure that we're kind of reserving about 100 mils of the water from what the pasta's cooked in, and then we're going to add that back into the sauce too. What that's going to do is going to add a little bit of flavour from the saltiness. It's going to add some of that semolina that's sort of sunk to the bottom. It's going to help to thicken the sauce as well. And it's just going to help build the body of the sauce as it's going.
There was a question about where the caperberries go.
The caperberries were with the charcuterie board in the beginning. So that was the greenery that Casper was talking about earlier on. So we're just going to, sprinkle those on there. Okay, so duck ragu should be on a low heat now, nice and warm. Water's boiling, pasta's ready to go, colander's ready to go. Okay, so all of our pasta, give it one last little shake up, just to make sure we've got all of that semolina nicely mixed through. And then we're just going to pop it straight into our water. Now, at this stage, if your water temperature looks like it's dropping too much, if you've got a lid close by, pop the lid on. You want to get it rolling as fast as you can. Like I said, it's a super quick cook, so we want to make sure we're maximizing that temperature. If your water temperature is too low, you're going to sort of end up with a little bit of a mushy texture with your pasta. We just want it really boiling, so it's sort of really instantly cooking those sheets and not sort of turning them to mush over a long period of time. So we can give that a little stir.
So Raki, given how quickly that fresh pasta cooks compared to dried pasta, there's not a great deal of time to check whether it's cooked or not.
No, so I mean, it's only going to take, you're looking at a minute and a half of cook time. It's like any pasta. After that sort of minute and a half, just grab a little piece, check its doneness. You can squeeze your finger into it.
Yeah.
And if it feels a little bit tough, it might need a little bit longer. If it's feeling like it's soft and just nice and soft, it should be ready. You should also be able to see your hand through the back of a sheet. So it should be nice and transparent. Ooh. So grab another one there. Nice and transparent.
Okay, so you can use the visual cue.
There's visual cues.
If it's opaque and transparent.
Opaque, transparent.
Yeah.
Also, just give it a little taste. Okay, so we're looking like we're done there. We're going to drain the pasta. I've got a colander down here. It's not going on the floor. I don't recommend tipping it on the floor. And like I said, make sure we are reserving about 100 mils of liquid. If you're not sure what 100 mils is, it's roughly half a coffee cup. All right, so duck ragu. We want to have 2 bowls ready to go.
Oh, those smells.
Pasta, a good
Delicious.
strain. Okay, so now we've got our sauce ticking away here. We want to get our grated Parmesan ready to go. Salt and pepper ready to go. We should have our basil ready for garnish. And our ricotta salata ready for garnish.
So what's the story with the ricotta salata? Because the ricotta that we know is usually a kind of fresh cheese, isn't it?
It is a fresh cheese. So essentially, ricotta salata is that fresh ricotta.
Yeah.
This once was that fresh ricotta.
Okay.
It's just a little bit salted and then it's just dried out.
Yeah.
So all of the moisture is taken from it. And then what you're left is a really nice soft, grateable cheese, which is really great for garnishing because we're going to keep our harder, more complex flavored cheese from mixing through our sauce.
Okay.
And then this is going to add a little subtle flavor to it. It's not going to overpower anything. It's got some nice mouthfeel, and it's just a really soft, clean texture.
Actually, it looks like it should melt quite
it does.
nicely on top.
It does. It's a really great finishing cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, it lends itself really well to the duck because we don't want to sort of overpower the sauce or anything like that. We just sort of want to help highlight it. So, okay, our ragu is ticking away nicely now. We've got our pasta. Pasta's going to go in. We're going to get our grated Parmesan and that whole amount straight in. Again, with the seasoning, purely preference on your behalf. Like a good amount of salt, good pinch of pepper. And then just give it a nice, gentle mix. We don't want to break that pasta up too much. We just should have a nice pan that's going to sort of help us mix the pasta in really nice and evenly. We just want to make sure that the pasta is lightly coated in some of that nice thinner parts of the ragu, and then whatever's left over, the nice thick, coarser parts, we're just going to spoon that over the top when we're ready to go. Okay, so pasta's done, everything's ready. Okay, we're ready to serve. So
Wow.
you've got your 2 bowls, half the pasta in one, and you can see now, once you've got that pasta cooked, how much the volume increases purely just through cooking it. So, like I said, yeah, most dry pastas will double in weight and size through the cooking process. Evenly put that duck ragu.
Magic.
Over there. A few nice leaves of basil. A little bit of ricotta salata. Okay, you've got your pasta done. You've got a couple of great glasses of wine, some salad and some bread. So now it's up to you guys. Bon appetit.
Awesome.
And I hope you guys had a great night and enjoyed everything. We really appreciate your support along the way, and hopefully we've been able to give you a little bit of education on the wine and the food that we do here, and I hope you have had a great night.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Raki's put together something pretty special here, but yeah, we just want to reiterate our thanks and appreciation for all your support. And we're really looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys back out here when things open up and it's safe to return. So stay safe, enjoy tonight's lovely dinner, and hopefully you're enjoying the wines as well. and all the very best. And here's cheers to a great weekend.
Cheers.
Cheers.